Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Tech 1 manufacturing, and I'm going to show you some items that I've come across at the moment which are currently profitable. So unlike Tech 2 manufacturing, etc., you generally need quite low skill levels for Tech 1 manufacturing, and you don't always have to be hauling or messing around. You can just use a BPC, a BPO, and just build the items straight away. And on some occasions you can even build the items directly in Jita, so there's no hauling minerals or finished products anywhere. So Tech 1 manufacturing has been in a bit of flux of late, and that is due to the changes to the ore distribution through nullsec, etc. Now obviously we did get quite a spike in the price of titanium, and that now has peaked and is on a very steep decline down. And this is why recently, or over the last month or two, I haven't really gotten into a great deal of manufacturing. There's a lot of changes, there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment, and this is affecting the markets quite a lot. Now that's not to say that you can't still make ISK, but again at the time I thought it was a little bit risky, and so have decided to stay a little bit more on the sidelines. And luckily over the last couple of weeks I've been saving Plex for these utterly fantastic deals that we have in front of us. However, just because I'm sat on the sidelines doesn't mean that I take my eye off the ball completely, and that I am still hunting around looking for things that potentially can make a decent amount of ISK from the lowest amount of effort possible. So the first one that I come across is the Kikimura. Now the Kikimura is a Triglavian ship. It's in decent demand and it is relatively easy to build and relatively cheap, which means I can produce it in Jita for very little installation cost, and that is obviously a big bonus because it means I don't have to move anything around. And so as you can see here, I've built 8 of them so far, and we are going to get them on the market and sold. So as it currently stands, that in order to buy a Kikimura, the blueprints are currently selling for around 20 million ISK. So at 20 million ISK plus the build cost, which is 24 million, you're looking at 44 million plus 70k installation costs, so we'll round that up to 45 million. And currently on the Jita market they are selling at 52 million ISK. So with each unit giving me a profit of 4.2 million ISK times 8 gives us 33 million, give or take, and that's for pretty much no effort and build time of around about an hour and a bit. And with the general volume of Kikimuras that are sold each day, I'm expecting these to pretty much fly off the shelves. And if they don't, the price is pretty stable here at 50 million ISK, so I'd expect it to pretty much stay the same for the while. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So if they don't sell immediately, I'm just going to wait until they do. So due to generally doing less manufacturing, I've turned my eye to some other aspects. And at the moment I've been doing a bit of invention for some jump freighters, as I discussed pretty much in the last video. So let's see how we get on. So these have a 25% success, or 27%, so just under 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I pretty much came out on top there. So I have 3 invented, 1 run rear BPCs that I can now start doing the manufacturing for. And this is the nice thing about diversifying, that if something does dry up or becomes unprofitable or too much hassle, etc., have something else that you can fall back to, or something else that you have in mind. That way you can keep things fresh without it getting stale, or you don't lose the only means of income that you had, that basically you have a backup or something else that you can do in order to generate, that you're just not relying on one sole source of income. So although I'm probably going to produce the jump freighter from these, I can sell them on the market at a semi-decent amount of ISK. Now I'll go into that in a different video because this is, I want to keep it to the Tech 1 manufacturing stuff. So I thought we'd stick on the ship line here. So as you can see, we have a Nightmare BPC, and that is 490 million ISK. Installation cost is 300 million ISK. And again, if you're willing to do a little bit of hauling, take it away from Jita, then you can get the build cost down to 1.6 million ISK. So the market sell price is for 867. That gives us after sales tax gives us 820 million ISK, 792 million ISK to produce, so giving us a round profit of 28 million ISK per unit. Now obviously with this one there's a bit more hauling and you'll have to haul the finished product back to market, but the markup on that is pretty okay. And the nice thing about the Nightmare is it sells in decent quantities, or you could also sell it on the Hypernet. So for the next Tech 1 module we're going to take a look at the Heavy Rapid Missile Launcher. Now semi-recently there has been quite a spike in the Heavy Missile Launcher Tech 2 versions. And as you can see here, the average jumped quite considerably and the price spiked for the Rapid Heavies. Now I'm not going to pretend to know why the price or the volume spiked, but it did, and I wanted on that bandwagon. And as you can see here, I've currently got 94 selling at the moment on the market. And I am going to amend that to be the top order because I would like to try and sell them. So that puts me at the top. So yeah, so I can't remember quite how many I built, but basically I was struggling to make these. So I bought all the stuff that I needed. However, the defining item that I couldn't get was the Rapid Missile Launcher Tech 1s. Now obviously due to there being a spike, there was none on the market or very few. So I was forced to either make my own or pay a premium for these items. And this is generally quite a good tip here, that you'll find that quite often the Tech 2 items will spike for whatever reason. Somebody will come up, buy huge amounts of whatever, whether it's for alliances or whatever it is, they sell out and the Tech 2 manufacturers jump in. And if you don't have a stock of the T1 items, then obviously you go straight to the market to buy them. Well, if there's a spike, everybody's buying it off the market, same as you're doing, and the Tech 1 items very quickly run out. So you're pretty much able to get the rest of the components, but you're stuck needing the T1 item itself. And obviously, if these have sold out of all the reasonable prices, then you're stuck paying a markup. And as a Tech 2 producer that currently has none in stock, I have two options. I can either buy them off the market, get them instantly, and start the production of my T2 items, or I can take the painstaking process of having to make the T1 items myself. And depending obviously how many I'm building, that can take quite a while. So really my only real option if I'm building in vast quantities is to buy off the market itself. So as it currently stands, in order to make a Rapid Heavy Missile Launcher Tech 1, it costs 43,000 ISK. So you are making over 100% profit currently from making these items and selling them as it is. Now, my general advice would be find some popular items that often have the spikes. Heavy missile launchers are probably one of them. Build a stock, put a few on the market at higher prices. Wait for your wallet to show that obviously you've made a sale, and then jump on knowing that there's a spike because it's hit the higher buy orders or sell orders, and then relist the rest of your stock ASAP, and that way you can make a hefty markup. The problem is that if you come in with a huge order, place it on the market, that other people will undercut you little by little. So you're better off just putting a small order on, waiting for, so say, the sell orders to be bought up when the spike happens, and then listing your stock on the market at the cheapest. And so with the Tech 1 market being so accessible to pretty much anybody, trying to find gems in there can be quite difficult. And a lot of people will say start with ammo, and I don't like ammo a great deal. There isn't a huge amount of markup. It sells in decent bulk, but the markup is so low on it that you are going to struggle in most areas to make a half decent amount of ISK. That's not to say that you can't, but I have found it relatively awkward at times, where I quite like, so say, the Tech 1 items, building up a stock and waiting for the sell orders to sell out before listing them back on there. And so yeah, I thought I'd give you another example here. So we've got the heavy missile launchers. Now these always sell pretty decently, and as you can see here, again, most of the time I'm building the T2 versions, and you come back to the market, you try and find some of the T1 items, and they've all been sold out. And as you can see here, again, every now and then there are a huge spike where people just buy up pretty much all that's on the market, because again, they're probably needing it for manufacturing. So if you can position yourself at a time or a position where you can obviously take advantage of that, you can make a huge amount of markup on a Tech 1 item pretty easily, but it does often mean sitting on inventory until that spike happens. But when that spike does happen, you can easily double the amount of ISK that you've invested into that stock pretty quickly. And again, this happens on multiple Tech 1 items. Choose the popular items, go through, have a look, see what spikes on a regular basis or even a semi-regular basis. Get your manufacturer building, and again, just put some stock to the side, put a few sell orders up, wait for the sell orders to ping, and then basically get your stock on the market ASAP to take advantage of these spikes. And so a lot of people will tell you that Tech 1 manufacturing is terrible, and as we've seen there, I've given 3 or 4 decent examples of pretty much ways that you can make ISK right here, right now. Now obviously the market does change daily, so obviously what is here today might not be there tomorrow, but the point still stands that there is ISK to be made there in Tech 1 manufacturing, although relatively low in regards to overall income, and it's quite hard to scale at any decent size, although it can be done. And again, there are people out there making a good hefty amount from just doing Tech 1 manufacturing. And so say the nice thing about Tech 1 manufacturing is the entry level is really low, the materials are easy to get a hold of, and generally the demand is generally quite decent for the items that you'll be producing, so should be relatively easy to sell. Also, you don't need any special gear in order to produce the stuff. You can produce it in Jita, or again, so as we looked at for the Nightmare, a little bit further afield, but the general gist is that you can produce it pretty much anywhere. So I do hope that's been helpful, giving you a few ideas, and again, just giving you some general thoughts in regards to Tech 1 production, that Tech 1 production is the lowest form of production, but again, there is a decent ISK to be made there with the right item selection. And again, I did diss the ammo earlier, but if you can make decent ISK on ammo, then crack on. Again, it doesn't matter what it is that you're producing as long as it's making a profit at the end of the day. And so if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do think about it. Drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what it is that you are producing, etc., or whether you've been burnt with Tech 1 manufacturing or any horror stories or anything that I haven't covered there. It's always interesting to know. And with that, everybody, fly safe, and I'll speak to you soon.